All right, guys. So we got a lot of things on the on today's agenda, man. I want to talk about the upcoming meta. I also want to talk about ranked and trials, and specifically when it comes to ranked and trials, which one is going to be sweatier. Now, I did a lot of trials this past weekend. Was not really expecting to get back into trials, but with ranked coming out, I feel like there's no better way to train more and more for ranked to come than to just play some trials, man. You know, you're going up against other players that are going for it. And so these are all good stress tests for you to actually go up against before we get into ranked. Now, let's talk real quick about the upcoming meta. You guys see the exotic changes that are coming. You know, Crimson is getting max range with their Masterworks. Now, when I say exotic changes, by default, a lot of weapons, sandbox-wise, are getting a lot of different reworks. But the Masterworks for these exotics is huge. It's unlike anything that I expected. You know, when they mentioned Masterworks in the past, I just assumed it was going to be these slight stat boosts alongside the orb generation, but I was not expecting the drastic Masterwork changes that are coming with our exotics, which really excites me. You know, Crimson's going to get max range with its exotic Masterwork. You know, you've got weapons like Vigilant Swing that is going to become a full auto Vigilant Swing with its Masterwork. We've seen Borealis able to one-shot body shot players, and it will gain that ability with its Masterwork. Tractor Cannon will have the ability to suppress players with its exotic Masterwork. So all of this really excites me. It makes me also ask the questions, you know, like, what's Jade Rabbit gonna do? My favorite fusion rifle in the game is Telesto, but I can only imagine what the Masterwork version of Telesto is gonna be bringing to the board. So a lot of different things here we still don't know everything about, but I'm excited to play with all of them. And it really is a perfect median too, because exotics have always been somewhat easier to get in D2 than it was in D1. But these Masterworks are gonna be more of a grind and harder to get and harder to achieve the challenges to even unlock them. So again, you're making the exotics easy to obtain, but the Masterwork, the full fleshed out version of the gun, much harder to get. So when I think of a meta, I think of this almost like House of Wolves on crack. You know, House of Wolves, if you played way back when during that expansion, you knew you either had to have a Red Death on, a Last Word on, a Thorn on, or a Hawk Moon. You know, you've got all these various exotics, which, you know, I know most of them are hand cannons that I'm mentioning, or a Hopscotch Pilgrim. Now, the Masterworks themselves pretty much make every exotic in the game viable. It's almost going to be like a chess match of when to use a certain exotic. You know, Tractor Cannon, not necessarily an exotic that I would be using all that much, but in a situation where the rounds have gone 3-3 and the whole opposing team is sitting there with supers, then swapping to a Tractor Cannon mid-rank game, I would do that and actually load it out to suppress those supers. Now, that's the thing that makes rank different than trials above all things, and it's drastic, it's huge, is that there is no locked loadouts currently in rank. Now, whether or not that's going to change, I don't know, but the competitive playlist, which is where we're going to be conducting ranked, does not have locked loadouts. So in trials, or at least in the previous sandbox especially, the chess pieces, there was still the same board, right? There's still the same 4v4 going on, but there wasn't that many pieces on the chessboard. And with all these various exotic changes happening, you're adding more pieces with more abilities and more movements than ever before, to the point that you will be having to play chess against your enemies. And in D1, there was always normally a chess match of some sort. I know a lot of people seem to use the easier of the chess pieces, a sticky grenade, a sidearm, but there was a chess match of some sort. A lot of times I would be using a weapon and might swap to another weapon mid-game just to deal with somebody. You know, we got to the rounds 4-4 and it was about to be it, and then I swapped to Paragon Greaves to get the shoulder charge off on a Stormcaller or something. You know, those are the different chess pieces that you have available that make D1 such an incredible game. And I think that's going to do the same thing in D2 with these exotic Masterworks. Now, that chess match element that I'm speaking of, I don't think it's necessarily going to be as present in trials as it will be in ranked, which brings me to the conclusion on which would be sweatier, trials or ranked. I think ranked is going to be a lot sweatier than trials, just given off the fact that there is going to be some form of skill-based matchmaking in ranked. And normally the players that are those T1 players, man, you know, they have that mindset, as in they have already in their head that chess match mindset of, okay, we're looking at a team of supers right now. What weapon choice do I need to choose right now to deal with them? And so there will be lots of different pieces on the board here that in ranked, you will have the option to swap to mid-game, mid-round, and like D1, these choices will make all the difference for you. On top of that, the guys that normally stay in trials throughout the entire weekend just to get their elo up, you know, they do that for a third-party website that reflects simply an elo score. You know, or maybe Destiny Tracker score, which is of course elo as well. There's going to be an actual in-game ranking system. So for my hardcore players out there that want to constantly get their rankings up or want to flex in some way, this is going to be the playlist they're going to go flex at, which will be the ranked playlist. So I don't think trials is just going to be overly easy now, but I do believe it's going to be much easier than what it is for most players. I know for me specifically, I mean, I'll do a couple Sherpas throughout the weekend, but then after that, I'll be right back in ranked to get that number up so we can flex. You know what I mean? It's all about that flex, baby. And so I'm just telling you from where I'm going to be going. 9 times out of 10, it'll most likely be ranked. Overall, it's an interesting meta. It's an interesting time to be playing Destiny right now, especially on the PvP end. I'm excited to see what's going to come. I think the chess match of pieces there on the board has increased greatly, especially with all the Masterworks that are becoming available. Hopefully, all the other Masterworks are extremely viable, and not only the ones that have been publicized are the only viable ones. I'm hoping we get some really, really good ones for all of our various exotics. And I've got some favorites of mine that I mentioned that I hope are going to be even nastier with the upcoming exotic Masterwork changes. Again, the most relatable meta that I can relate to what's coming up, guys, is House of Wolves. And it makes sense. The people that are leading PvP right now, Christopher Barrett himself, you know, a lot of these things are pretty much right up their alley. And it seems like they're going to be doing the same exact things they did during House of Wolves. And that was by far the funnest time I ever had in Destiny 1's Crucible. I definitely have fun throughout most of Destiny 1's Crucible, but that time frame, and a lot of people, it was never anyone in between. It was either you loved it and you thrived in it, or you absolutely fucking hated it. I think this situation though is going to be even better, simply because of all the various exotics that you're going to have that can be catered to your playstyle. You like pulse rifles, Graviton Lance or Vigilance Wing is right up your alley. If you like hand cannons, you know, Crimson is looking really good. Sturm can 2-tap. You know, if you like scout rifles, hopefully, man, my high impact scout rifles like Jade Rabbit is going to get a lot of love with its Masterwork. You know, we were actually talking about that this past weekend, and I hope it gets a nasty ass Masterwork on it. So essentially for me, it's House of Wolves on crack. Guys, thank you so much for coming and watching today's video. If you're excited about the upcoming changes, man, coming to Destiny 2, let me know in the comments below, man. I'm going to be streaming Destiny a bunch. I will be doing trials. And if you're looking to actually train a little bit, I would say either load up into some competitive right now or just play a couple cards in trials. Trials is actually a really good way to practice for what's to come in ranked, because you're going to 9 times out of 10 be going against those same type of players in ranked. And again, the best way to get better in any game type, especially here in Destiny's PvP, the best way to get better is to go against better players than yourself. And you know, you keep playing up against them, you keep putting yourself up against it, and I promise you, man, you'll see the light. Guys, thank you so much for coming and watching the video, and as always, slap that like button like your mama told you right. Let's get closer.